been finalising. It's a new multi-year deal, and finalising the plan with Robert Garcia, which is really to take this fight at bantamweight and then probably move back to 115 and fight the winner of Wilbaldo Garcia against Maloney for undisputed.
Well, all right then, ladies and gentlemen, we got some follow-up news when it comes to Jesse Bam Rodriguez, the man we just talked about today in the early video we dropped, talking about his fight that just got announced on June 13th. Moving up to 118 pounds, the bantamweight division, to take on Antonio Vargas for the WBA bantamweight title of the world. Looking to become a 3-division world champion. Right now, 2-division world champion. Reigning WBC, WBO, WBA. Super flyweight champion. Wants to become undisputed. Wants that fight with Wilbaldo Garcia, but Wilbaldo Garcia will be fighting on June 6th against Andrew Maloney, a fight that the IBF ordered, demanded the fight. As soon as that takes place, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, as you just heard by Eddie Hearn, will be moving back down. Will be moving back down to 115 pounds after he's done beating Antonio Vargas. Yes, Eddie Hearn just gave us the future plans of Jesse Bam Rodriguez, and they also include the monster INOUE that, you know, supposedly they've been in talks with, wanted to get a fight in 2 to 3 fights from now. Check this out.
There has been some early preliminary conversations with His Excellency about INOUE against Bam, and I do think that fight is inevitable. I don't think it's going to be necessarily straight after the Vargas fight, but it could be as quick as in the next 2 or 3 fights. It's probably one of the biggest fights in boxing. It's one that Bam likes the idea of, but first things first, the 3rd Division Championship on June 13th.
You heard that right? He just said, I don't think the monster INOUE fight is going to happen right after the Antonio Vargas fight, but it should be happening 2 to 3 fights from now. He just signed a multi-fight deal with Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Said, of course, he says him and Jesse Bam Rodriguez want that fight. That's one that Rodriguez wants. But first, let's handle the business that we got to handle right now. So my question is, when is this fight going to happen? Let's break it down. Jesse Bam Rodriguez is going to be taking on Antonio Vargas June 13th. Wilbaldo Garcia is taking on Andrew Maloney June 6th. So, as you heard, Eddie Hearn said, they're moving back down to 115 pounds after they fight against Antonio Vargas to fight Wilbaldo to become undisputed, which should take place in the second half of 2026, anytime from June to December, maybe September, maybe August, maybe October. And then that would have been 2 fights, right? The Antonio Vargas fight. And then right after that, the Wilbaldo Garcia fight. So 3 fights in. He says the fight's going to happen 2 to 3 fights from now. Will that be against the monster INOUE after his next 2 fights? Or is he talking about the fight being 2 or 3 fights from now after the Antonio Vargas fight, right? Then fighting Wilbaldo Garcia, then fighting somebody else, and then the monster INOUE? Because let's just say his next 2 fights is going to be at 118 pounds and then 115 pounds. He's going from 118 to 115 back down. So for the 3rd fight, is he moving from 115 to 122 to take on the monster INOUE? I don't think so. If he's moving back down to 115 pounds. So that clearly doesn't make sense. You would think that they would take another, you know, if not a tune-up, another fight at 118 or at least a fight at 122 before facing the monster INOUE. So I'm thinking they're going to fight against Antonio Vargas, fight against Wilbaldo Garcia, then end up fighting again. I don't know whether it's at 118, 122. I would think 118. And then end up deciding 4 fights later on the 4th fight that they fight at 122 pounds against NAOYA, the monster INOUE. It sounds crazy. Eddie Hearn might just be getting a little excited here. 2 or 3 fights. We're going to be fighting the monster INOUE. Who knows what Inoue is going to be doing by then? Is he still going to stick around at 122 pounds? 2 to 3 to 4 fights from now? Who is this man going to continue to fight when the boxing world is calling for the Monster Inoue to move up to 126 pounds? You're just going to wait for Jesse Bam Rodriguez to come to your division when Eddie Hearn, and the way he's explaining it, doesn't seem like the fight's going to happen anytime soon? I mean, honestly, I would rather have Inoue move up and fight somebody like Bruce Shushu Carrington at 126 pounds, wait for Jesse Bam Rodriguez to move to 122, and then move back down to 122 to fight Jesse Bam Rodriguez in what was your division. We're going to see how all this ends up playing out, but Eddie Hearn confirms to us, after the Antonia Vargas fight, they're moving back down to 115, and his plan is 2 to 3 fights from now, them to be in the ring with the Monster Inoue. Let me know what you guys think. This is the MMA Boxing Addict channel bringing it to you, and I'm